How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Michael Saylor just explained what he thinks is going to happen at the Crypto Summit, whether altcoins should be included in the strategic reserve, which honestly, the result or what he said might surprise you a bit. He also goes through what he thinks the US should do to accumulate Bitcoin, and he does seem very happy right now. Like, usually you can tell that he knows something based on how big his grin is, and he's grinning from ear to ear. Very different than like bear market vibes, survival vibes. This is like we are in front of something huge. So I want to play the clip for you. You can draw your own conclusions. If you don't mind, though, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. Also, if you do want to trade, there are links underneath the video. You can check out BitUnex. There you can sign up in just a few minutes. You can start trading. They have a pretty sweet bonus going on right now. Also, BTCC has a awesome bonus as well. 10% bonus on first-time deposits. And you can get 40% lower trading fees. I saw Hotcoin also had a bug bounty program where you can get up to $100,000. And they have another bonus that's up to 802,500 USDT. There's a link to Weeks as well, and Blowfin. All of these have great sign-up bonuses right now. And there's also a link to the Patreon in case you want to see what I'm doing. I gave early access to a video yesterday, but if you want to join that, you can check it out underneath the video. There are limited spots.
He will have a seat at Friday's roundtable. Strategy co-founder and executive chair Michael Saylor is here. You should have the most prominent chair, the one with the armchair with the arms on it, because your company owns more Bitcoin than any other company. What, about 500,000 tokens?
Yeah, about 2.4% of the worldwide supply, okay. 500,000.
Let's just get your view, because everybody's dying to know about the summit and what they think is going to be announced. How do you think this crypto reserve will be financed?
Well, I think that there's a 6-month process that's been laid out by the executive order, and I think the president was fairly deliberate in that. There are 12 members on the Presidential Working Committee. There'll be involvement from the industry, there'll be involvement from the Senate and from the House, and it's above my pay grade to decide how it gets determined. But the Lummis bill has laid out the idea of acquiring Bitcoin strategically over 4 years, just consistently day by day, in order to reach a million Bitcoin target.
Okay, the government has 200,000 Bitcoin, as I understand it. We equal about 17 billion at today's prices. So to get up there, how they would have to purchase Bitcoin, right? So as the government purchases these Bitcoin and other tokens, what is that going to do to the price? I mean, supply goes down, the price goes up?
Well, the most responsible thing would be to go slow and steady and deliberate with clear telegraphing and transparency, so that the real key about Bitcoin is for people to understand that it's digital property. It's a savings account that empowers every single American to save their wealth and preserve it over time. And so what the government can do is to give clarity to the asset class and confidence to every American citizen, so they know they have an alternative to gambling and the stock market.
I know you said that it's above your pay grade to decide, but you are allowed an opinion. Do you think taxpayer money should be used to purchase these tokens and coins to fill the reserve?
I think the way to think about the industry is there's digital commodities, that's Bitcoin, an asset without an issuer. There's digital currencies like the stable coins. That's really important for US dollar supremacy and digital commerce. There are digital securities like tokenized stocks and bonds that will actually provide a capital efficiency and globalization for American securities. And then there are digital tokens, assets with issuers that provide digital utility that are very interesting and compelling. Their role is capital creation for the small and mid-sized companies that are blocked from the capital markets right now. I think that it's wise to capitalize a country or a company on a commodity, an asset without an issuer, something like a property. You could buy oil. Bitcoin is a commodity. I think that
XRP is attached to a company, Ripple.
I think that those are tokens, and we should have a regulatory framework to allow them to be issued, because...
Issued, but in the reserve? Should they be in the reserve?
I think the emerging consensus in the industry is that Bitcoin should be the element in a strategic reserve over the long term for the country. But if you wanted to support various investments in a sovereign wealth fund, that would be up to the executive
Okay,
branch.
so let's be clear. I'm hearing you say the reserve fund should really have the tested one, and that is Bitcoin, and not Solana or Cardano or Solana.
The important thing to keep in mind is Bitcoin is the one universally agreed upon foundational asset in the entire crypto economy because it's the asset without an issuer. It's neutral. 99% of the energy and the capital has flown into that one. But I want to be clear that the U.S. has the opportunity to be the leader in digital assets if they have a progressive framework that supports currencies, securities, and tokens as well.
Michael, let me play devil's advocate because I support any choice of if people want to buy Bitcoin. I never understood why the Gary Gensler SEC was so virulently and vehemently against it. But when you talk about strategic reserves, the U.S. has strategic reserves for things like oil, for things like medical devices and equipment and military equipment, just in case there is some type of crisis. And we don't want to be caught flat-footed because in the best case scenario, like the 1975 oil embargo by the Arabs, the economy took a very big bruising. Or worst case scenario, people could die if they don't have the right medical equipment. Who's going to die without Bitcoin? My point is there are a lot of people who are saying, why do we need this?
You know, the most important thing to understand is that we bought 75% of this nation with about $40 million. So the United States expanded west. We bought Louisiana, we bought California, we bought Texas, we bought Alaska. It's property. If you think of Bitcoin as property in cyberspace and you say, where is all the money in the world headed? Well, it's headed from foreign countries, China, Russia. It wants to go to cyberspace. It wants to go from the physical world to the digital world. So if you think about Bitcoin as cyberspace, then the logic behind a Bitcoin strategic reserve is not so much you're storing up Bitcoin, it's really that you're taking control of planting the flag in cyberspace because the digital economy is going to be capitalized on Bitcoin. And if you get there first, before the AIs, before the foreigners, before the Europeans, the Africans, the South Americans, the Russians, and the Chinese, the U.S. can own it and benefit from it.
And I'm just really interested to know, what would you say to the Bitcoin real believers, the real early acolytes who loved it because it doesn't attach itself to any government? And now the government, the U.S. government, is going to be buying it if this does get approved. How do you square that with the people who say, wait, I don't want the U.S. government involved in this?
Satoshi gave us a protocol for prosperity. That's what we call Bitcoin. And it was a great opportunity for empowerment for 8 billion people. But also, there are 400 million companies that need it. There's also every country on earth that needs it. So it's logical that a country that is interested in economic empowerment and prosperity is going to adopt Bitcoin in the same way that a company like mine, in the same way that an individual would.
And as we finish up, let's just say you're sitting there at the table at the summit on Friday, and President Trump says, hey, Michael, I know you're a bigwig in the industry. What's the number one thing I should and shouldn't do with this reserve? What would you say?
I would say the number one thing is lay down clarity amongst digital assets because there's a lot of conflict and confusion because people misdefine the terms currency, commodity, security, token. And then once you've laid out that framework, if you decide to buy cyberspace, buy it deliberately, progressively, transparently.
And slowly, you said.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Michael Saylor of Strategy, thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, let us know how this summit goes. Call us right after.
Now, what do you think about what Michael Saylor said? I think it'll be really interesting to see what comes out of the White House tomorrow. You know, is this just a sell the news event, or are we really going to get some kind of framework for a strategic reserve? Are we going to get everything set in place to start buying here relatively soon? Are we going to get preferential tax treatments for people with US-based cryptos? We'll learn a lot in the next day or so. Let me know your thoughts, though. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Check out the links underneath.